to ask you, how did the idea for LFReturnMe come about?
Okay, I have a personal story for this, and I'd like to share that. I was on a date a couple of years back, very interesting date, lovely young lady, and we had a lovely time out, had a nice meal, had a nice conversation. And by the time we were leaving, I was so excited that I was absent-minded. I boarded a keke, came down, and the next thing I thought about, okay, let me reach out to her and see, I had a nice time, that, yeah, yeah, yeah. And then the next thing I did was immediately started to tap my pockets. And I realized that my phone was nowhere to be found. I started to backtrack. You know how your mind works, just to look for the last place you were at. So I go back to the restaurant, no sign of my phone. I come back to the park and then I sum it up and say, I left it in the keke that I dropped down from. Now, the first thing I said is, this young lady, I will not be able to text her again and say I had a nice time out. And then I said, okay, let me wait for about 30 minutes if the guy will come back by himself. Unfortunately, he did not. So I said, the next option is to try and call my phone. Now, I use an iPhone, and you know, iPhones are not the best for their batteries. So I was skeptical that it would even be on at the time. But then I tried to call. After calling about a couple of times, it rang. The guy picked it up and actually returned it back to me in the park. Now, a couple of years after,
Wow.
yes, exactly. That was that's the expression I had. Wow. And he did not even ask me for cashback as a reward. I obviously opted to tip him myself because it was
Wow.
nice. Exactly. I opted to tip him myself because it was a nice thing to do. And then a couple of years later, I come into this information that people are trying to put together a system that will help you recover your lost and found items. And because of the experience I had, I know it's a solution that can work. So I quickly keyed into it, and we have come to where we are today.